Man, what's good, YouTube? We finna be reacting to Juice WRLD, man. Long live Juice WRLD, bruh. And I ain't gonna cap, we finna just be reacting to the day he died, shit like that, because I don't really know the details, man. So like, comment, subscribe. Long live Juice WRLD in the chat, man. Let's get into it. Man, long live Juice WRLD, bruh. No cap.
On December 7th, 2019, Juice
December
WRLD
7th.
and his entourage would begin to board a Gulfstream private jet that was located inside the Van Nuys Airport. The private jet would eventually take off at 8:23 p.m. PST, with its
Where's
final
he going?
destination being the Chicago Midway International Airport.
Chicago?
The jet would be
He
airborne
from
for just
Chicago
over
too,
3
right?
hours
Yeah.
before safely landing at the Atlantic Terminal in the Chicago Midway International Airport at around 1:28 a.m. CST. But little did Juice WRLD know that the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and the Gang Investigation Federal Task Force were waiting for them to land. After landing, Juice WRLD and his entourage were confronted in the lobby of the Atlantic
Damn,
Aviation
bro.
Building by 3 FBI agents, a canine officer,
Was
as
that
well
them?
as Officer
Right here?
Romero of the Chicago Police Department's Gang Intelligence Unit. Authorities would then immediately request Officer Mazzillo to have his canine perform a narcotic search on all of the luggage that was on board the private jet, which was already conveniently loaded on 2 separate luggage carts in the lobby. The canine immediately detected narcotics in the luggage on the first cart. Officer Mazzillo would then take the canine outside, where it would later return to detect even more narcotics in the luggage on the second cart. Authorities would then notify Juice WRLD and everyone else that was on board the private jet that the canine detected narcotics in the luggage and that the suitcases were going to be opened and searched. While the search was taking place, Ali Lottie, Juice WRLD's girlfriend, would return from the bathroom and take a seat on the lounge chairs in the lobby with Juice WRLD seated directly in front and to the right of her. Juice WRLD would then slowly turn around to face Ali Lottie and let out a deep loud screech before throwing his arms in the air and falling to the ground. Juice WRLD would then begin to convulse on the ground while blood leaked from his nose and mouth. Ali Lottie began to scream for help. Chicago police officers Michael Botica and Daniel McAuliffe would then claim to immediately start helping Juice WRLD by rolling Juice on his side to help with his breathing. Officer Botica would then call for the Chicago Fire Department while a Homeland Security Investigations agent gave Juice WRLD 2 shots of Narcan. Officer Botica would then claim that after receiving the Narcan shots that Juice WRLD would stop convulsing. Juice WRLD was then transported to the Christ Hospital in Chicago
so
by the
he killed
Chicago
him
Fire
doing
Department paramedics, while
What the
the authorities
fuck,
would
bro?
uncover 41 vacuum-sealed bags containing 70 pounds of marijuana and 6 prescription bottles of codeine. After the search, 2 members of Juice WRLD's entourage were taken into custody by police. The first individual was a man by the name of Henry Dean, who was Juice WRLD's personal security guard at the time. Henry Dean was never on the private jet, but was waiting for them to land at the Chicago International Airport along with a limousine service to pick Juice WRLD and his entourage up in. After getting word that Juice WRLD safely landed, Henry Dean would enter the airport to help everyone that was on board the flight with their luggage, but was quickly stopped by authorities. Officers would then ask Henry Dean if he had any weapons on him, which he would inform them that he did, in fact, have 2 firearms on him but has a valid firearms owner ID as well as a concealed carry license. Unfortunately, these licenses did not allow him to carry a concealed firearm inside an airport, and police eventually arrested Henry Dean on 3 charges relating to the firearms he had
So
in
he
his
got
possession.
charged on some bullshit.
The other individual arrested was Chris Long, Juice WRLD's personal photographer and videographer. Chris Long was arrested after authorities discovered a bag containing camera equipment along with a .40 caliber pistol hidden inside. When asked who the bag belonged to, Chris Long would claim ownership of the bag but denied any knowledge of there being a firearm inside. Chris Long would then be arrested and charged with unlawful possession of a firearm at around 2:03 a.m. on December 8, 2000.
Don't believe the attacks on Colin Allred. As a 4th-generation Texan who played at Baylor
2019. A little over an hour later, Juice WRLD would be pronounced dead by Dr. Sean Motsney at 3:14 a.m. The cause of death was later revealed to be oxycodone and codeine toxicity. Everyone else that was on board the private jet was free to go without any additional charges. But what about the 70 pounds of marijuana that was trafficked over 2,000 miles across the country? It was stated that neither of the suitcases containing the vacuum-sealed bags had any name or personal items that could be linked to any of the passengers on the jet, and nobody claimed ownership of the suitcases either. But why was it even on the jet in the first place? Juice WRLD was a rich and famous superstar. Why would anyone put Juice WRLD in that position in the first place? Regardless, the feds weren't just going to let drug trafficking slide, right? After looking further into the police report, something odd stood out to me, and that was the fact that the Gang Investigation Federal Task Force was waiting for them to land. I can understand that if the pilot called in a tip stating that there were narcotics and firearms on board, why the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and the police being there. But the Gang Investigation Federal...
Isn't no way they would just randomly there. Like, they definitely got the word.
Task Force seemed strange and oddly specific. I began to do more research where I eventually discovered that just 6 days before Juice WRLD's sudden overdose, the Chicago Tribune released an article claiming that the FBI is in town to investigate the death of a Chicago rapper who went by the name of Shoota Shells. Shoota Shells was a member of a Chicago gang called Black Mob, and back in 2017, released a song on YouTube titled Death of 150, which was a brutal diss to a rival gang. The rival gang targeted in the song goes by the name of No Limit, with its most well-known members being rappers G Herbo and Lil Bibby. Lil Bibby is also the owner of Grade A Productions, a record label Juice WRLD was heavily involved with since its start and would later sign onto a multi-million-dollar joint venture deal with Interscope Records. Now, while most Chicago gang members are known to be some of the most savage individuals, Lil Bibby was different, with his main focus always being money, and was known as a big-time drug dealer who rarely dissed opposing gang members. When the Chicago drill scene started to gain traction online back in 2012, names such as Chief Keef, Lil Durk, G Herbo, and Lil Bibby were some of the biggest in the industry. Juice WRLD, who grew up in Homewood, Illinois, a Chicago suburb just 30 minutes south of where Lil Bibby is from, became a huge fan of the drill scene, and when Lil Bibby showed interest in Juice WRLD, he signed him almost immediately despite having similar opportunities to get into the music industry. After signing, Juice WRLD, who had no gang ties prior to meeting Lil Bibby, was now acting as if he was a lifelong No Limit gang member, and began involving himself in very serious situations that had absolutely nothing to do with him. For example, Juice WRLD would start dissing a guy by the name of Posto. Posto was a member of a Chicago gang called Lakeside, which rivals No Limit, and was brutally murdered back in November of 2013 at just 18 years old, after being shot in the head.
So Juice WRLD was basically 150. Juice WRLD kinda No Limit.
While standing in the first floor hallway in a building located on the 2700 block of East 80th Street in Chicago.
And on my wrist is a glass house. Smoking pasta till I pass out. What you say about pasta? This is a dirty ass out.
Juice WRLD would also diss another No Limit rival who went by the name of Lil Mister. Lil Mister was a well-known Chicago drill rapper and a member of a Chicago gang called Wooga World. On March 15, 2019, Lil Mister was fatally shot in the head after a drive-by on the 7400 block of South Harvard Avenue. He was only 24 years old at the time of his death.
We say we smoking on Ghost, smoking on Katie Peck and Pasto and Mister the most. Man, I'ma kill you know it though.
In addition to all that, Juice WRLD also began to drop rakes, which is a gang sign used to disrespect anyone affiliated with the Gangster Disciples.
We dropping them bitches, ain't we, folks?
Most of these subtle yet very serious expressions of disrespect would go over the heads of the majority of Juice WRLD fans, but fans of the Chicago drill scene would immediately take notice and criticize Juice WRLD and No Limit online. One Chicago drill specialist by the name of Rasha947 would comment, "Wow, this is actually shameful. How are No Limit letting him do this meal ticket or not? Straight clown. He would be on this sub if he wasn't famous." Another drill superfan by the name of Throwaway8881 would say, "Herb, Cairo, and Bibby are some clowns for letting him do all this." A now deleted user
I ain't gonna cap though, bro. A grown ass man can do whatever the fuck you wanna do, bro. Like, nigga can't make you do shit, bro.
Would respond to that comment with, "It's gotta be awkward these savage hood dudes pretending to vibe with him just for money and clout, when he's clearly some soft suburban dude, and him trying to pretend he can relate to their savage mentalities." These situations are prime examples to show the lengths Juice WRLD would go in order to fit in with the No Limit street.
Wait, so Juice WRLD really wasn't in the streets with them, or like, what? Is that what I don't know, bro.
Now, going back to the narcotics found on Juice WRLD's private jet, Fans have been speculating on several theories since the day it happened, with the common one being that the narcotics found on Juice WRLD's private jet were for personal use and were most likely being brought from California to Chicago to be given out to the guests at Juice WRLD's 21st birthday party that was scheduled on the day he unfortunately passed away. Another theory.
Damn, that nigga died on his birthday?
Birthday party that was scheduled on the day he unfortunately passed away.
I don't know if it was his
Another
birthday.
theory being discussed online is that Juice WRLD's girlfriend, WRLD, was the mastermind behind all of this, with the evidence being leaked court documents claiming that WRLD was arrested for trafficking meth back in 2017. WRLD denied these claims on Twitter by tweeting, "Never seen meth ever, and I'm pretty sure meth is Adderall. Again, this paperwork has nothing to do with me. I'm so sorry. I don't even know the lawyer." Fans would also speculate that Chris Long may have something to do with this due to his ties with the underground cannabis industry in Los Angeles.
This is Chris Long, the plug.
Royal Buds LA is a store that sells medicinal marijuana.
Yes.
And you're the manager. Who owns it? Or can you talk about that?
Some guys own it.
So you really can't talk about who owns it?
I'm not gonna.
Okay, that's
The
fair.
weed business is a
already
business
shady.
where
I love the weed business.
information is kept close to
They
the
don't
chest.
leak it.
Yeah. But basically, he works for some dudes that own a lot of them. Like, he works with them, and they are fucking.
How'd they
kingpins
find
with
you?
the Shit.
And others, more specifically the Chicago drill scene, would speculate that No Limit was behind all of this the whole time, with one highly upvoted comment in particular stating, "Juice WRLD was getting extorted, even though some people like to deny it." Another user would respond shortly after saying, "Thank you. Why would Juice WRLD be traveling on a jet with so much weed? No Limit was using him as a crash dummy. He just so happened to be a superstar." We will likely never know why and how this situation came
I mean, shit, is it that? Is that what really what happened?
to be. But at the end of the day, 70 pounds of narcotics were found in the luggage on board the private jet, with the Gang Investigation Federal Task Force in particular.
Yeah, that part, they definitely got they definitely got a call on that. But shit, I don't know, bro. I don't know. Was Juice WRLD extorted by G Herbo and them or not, bro? Let me know in the comment section. Like, how subscribe, man. Hello, little Juice WRLD, bro. We out.